It comes with a 6.81-inch Full HD Plus screen with an aspect ratio of 20:9. That means the phone's screen is longer than most handsets. The design is similar to what we have seen from HMD Global's Nokia handsets in previous years, with a metal edge and Gorilla Glass on the rear of the phone. It comes with a refracted light design that gives it a unique look rather than just a solid color. The fingerprint sensor is housed within the power button that sits on the side of the handset, allowing you to turn the phone on and unlock it with one press. 5G is the biggest feature here, and this is the first 5G enabled phone from the company. There isn't a top-end chipset inside this phone, and instead HMD Global is using Qualcomm Snapdragon 765 chipset inside here that allows for 5G connectivity but will not provide as impressive processing as phones that use the flagship Snapdragon 865. You will have the choice of either 6GB of RAM with 64GB of storage or 8GB of RAM with 128GB of storage. The rear camera on this device comes with a 64MP main camera as well as a 12MP ultra-wide with an aperture of 2.2. There's also a 2MP depth sensor working alongside a 2MP macro camera. On the front of the phone, there is a 24MP selfie shooter. There's a new mode included called Action Cam mode that is specifically designed to capture smooth video. It uses a higher frame rate, that's 60fps, to improve the footage for fast-moving subjects. The Nokia 8.3 5G is also capable of filming in 4K too. Pictures are sharp and vibrant. Overall, the photo quality is great and delivers good dynamic range. There's a 4500 mAh cell inside the phone with 18W fast charging support. That's quite large for a handset like this. "2020 has been a big year for Motorola already. First its own foldable phone, the Motorola Razr, and now we have the Motorola H Plus. The H Plus isn't just a rebranded Z series phone, it's a fresh start for the company's product line. This is a device pushed to the extremes and which can compete with the best such as Samsung Galaxy and Apple handsets. Motorola has furnished the H Plus with many elements from the leading flagships. The screen is carved over the sides like the waterfall display from the Samsung Galaxy S20 and Samsung Galaxy Note 10 lines of phones. It doesn't have an IP water and dust resistance rating, but Motorola claims its design is water repellent, and of course it contains one of the rarest of features on a flagship phone, a 3.5mm headphone jack. The display is 6.7-inch Full HD Plus OLED panel. Its large, sharp and the endless edge sides are very attractive. The display's 21:9 aspect ratio makes this phone feel narrow, meaning some people may find it awkward to use one-handed. Like many other flagship phones in 2020, you can set the H Plus to light up its sides when receiving notification. Another great feature is the 90Hz refresh rate, meaning smooth video and gameplay. The phone's specs are top tier, from its Snapdragon 865 chipset to the 12GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. The Motorola H Plus packs a traditional quad rear camera setup. The star of the show is the 108MP main shooter, which can use pixel binning tech that reduces the megapixel count while effectively expanding the size of each pixel to let in more light. The phone also has an 8MP telephoto camera with 3x optical zoom and a 16MP ultra-wide camera, as well as a time-of-flight depth sensor to enable bokeh effect in portrait shots. The main shooter can also capture video in 6K UHD. Pictures taken with this device looks great with rich color and great dynamic range. On the front there is a 25MP camera for selfies, which delivers great picture quality. The H Plus is also 5G capable. It packs a 5000 mAh battery and Motorola claims it will last for up to 2 days. Sadly, the H Plus maxes out at 18W charging, which has been the case with the previous Motorola phones. It also supports 15W fast wireless charging and 5W reverse wireless charging. The V60 might look big in photos, but it's quite another thing to hold the phone. LG has fitted this device with a 6.8-inch display. The V60 is huge, and that makes for a comfortable viewing experience when watching videos and browsing the web. The V60's display is brilliant, colors are rich and vibrant, and the screen is easy to view in sunlight. Keep in mind that the V60 has a 60Hz display. LG's OLED displays are usually quite good, but a step behind Samsung's, and once again that's true for the LG V60 ThinQ 5G. Once again, LG is selling its latest V series device with an optical case that adds a second screen for you to fill up with apps and extra browser tabs. The design here is essentially unchanged from its implementation of the LG G8X ThinQ. The dual screen case is there if you want it, and every carrier offers the V60 with that add-on included. Armed with Qualcomm's latest Snapdragon 865 chipset and 8GB of RAM, the V60 is on par with all the latest flagships regarding performance. All this is to say the V60 is a very powerful phone, among the most powerful you can buy today. It also comes with 128GB of internal storage. The V60 packs 3 lenses on the back, a primary 64MP wide angle, a 13MP ultra wide, and one of LG's time-of-flight Z cameras, along with a 10MP front-facing shooter. The 64MP main lens can even record 8K video. That 64MP main lens can merge 4 pixels into one to allow more light to reach the sensor. The resulting shots are quite bright, perhaps too bright. Without an optical telephoto lens, the LG V60 relies on crop zoom that maxes out at 10x by essentially cropping in on a portion of a photo taken by the main camera. This works much like the digital zoom capabilities of other flagships with high megapixel sensors. The V60's other rare camera is a 13MP 1.9 aperture ultra-wide shooter that captures a 170-degree field of view. The phone's photos are vibrant and clear, and the camera did a good job at locking in on moving objects and keeping them in focus. Its night view mode can capture great evening photos. On the front of the V60 is a 10MP camera which takes fine selfies with portrait blur too. The V60 packs a 5000 mAh battery which gets you through a day of ordinary use. For recharging, the V60 comes with a fast charge 4.0 charger in the box, which LG claims gets you 18 hours of use or 50% capacity from 30 minutes of charge. As an Android phone, the V60 tells you how long until a full charge when you plug it in. It also supports wireless charging. The Sony Xperia 1 Mark II comes with a 6.5-inch display that has a 4K resolution. It's a HDR OLED panel. However, the company has included a new feature that will allow for a 90Hz effect on the screen, but it doesn't seem to use an actual 90Hz panel. Sony's latest flagship phone features a 3.5mm headphone jack on the top edge. The design is glass on the front and back, both of which are protected by Corning Gorilla Glass 6 technology. Inside the Sony Xperia 1 Mark II, there is a Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 chipset, which is one of the very best processors on the market. The phone comes with 8GB of RAM to keep it running. Storage wise, you have got 256GB of space to play with here, and that's expandable with a microSD card. 5G is one of the big talking points of Xperia 1 Mark II. There's no 4G only variant of this phone. The camera is another area Sony's put a spotlight on. The camera includes a 12MP main sensor, a 12MP telephoto one with 3x optical zoom, and a 12MP ultra-wide sensor, alongside a 3D time-of-flight sensor that will offer groundbreaking autofocus technology. It's using a technology that Sony developed for its alpha range of cameras, and the aim here is to give you the best shot through stronger autofocus. This technology can completely autofocus and auto exposure calculations at 60 frames per second, while the camera itself can take 20 shots in burst mode each second. But Sony claims it improves autofocus for low light conditions as well as in everyday shooting. The phone can also record video in 4K HDR at up to 60 FPS. Pictures are amazing with this camera with its stunning dynamic range and color accuracy. On the front of the phone, there's an 8MP selfie camera, and Sony announced they have made significant improvements for front-facing shots. Sony has also made some big improvements to the battery on this device by increasing it to 4000 mAh on the Sony Xperia 1 Mark II, up from 3330 mAh on the Xperia 1. The Galaxy S20 Ultra is Samsung's biggest Android phone, and it lives up to its name. It is the first Samsung phone with a 120Hz display, which is designed to deliver smoother motion when you are scrolling and especially playing games. You can also toggle between 60Hz and 120Hz in settings, which will come in handy if you want to save battery life. The Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra is made of glass and aluminium, and it is protected by Corning Gorilla Glass 6. The specs of this smartphone rival the likes of laptops, meaning it's more than you will ever need. 7nm chipset, Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 in the US or Samsung's Exynos 990 in the UK and Europe, 16GB of RAM, 512GB of internal storage, and a microSD card slot for expandable storage. The S20 Ultra has a 108MP 1.8 aperture main camera, a 48MP 3.5 aperture telephoto camera, and a 12MP 2.2 aperture ultra-wide camera. There's also a time-of-flight depth camera on the back, aiding portrait photos and 3D scans, and a 40 megapixel selfie camera on the front. It's Samsung's biggest camera sensor upgrade since the Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge. The main 108 megapixel camera delivers great quality pictures with stunning details. The camera performed well in almost every light condition. The telephoto lens is capable of 10x lossless zoom and a crazy 100x space zoom. Pictures from the selfie camera delivers great dynamic range and quality. The Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra camera introduces 8K resolution video recording and steady stabilization. 8K is going to allow you to crop and edit video without sacrificing quality, while the 4K will give you more frame rate and zoom options. Samsung super fast charging returns on the S20 Ultra, up to 45 watt with an optional charger and 25 watt with the charger included in the box. Samsung equipped this phone with a massive 5000 mAh battery, which is the biggest in a Galaxy S series device. Samsung Galaxy S20 has a lot of potential. Samsung promised something amazing will happen in 2020, and here it is.